Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pop Corner, episode 11. I almost messed that up. I almost said podcast, episode 11, which technically, that's true. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pop Corner, episode 11. I almost messed that up. I almost said podcast, episode 11, which technically, that's true. Right? Yeah, that's accurate. Mm-hmm. And today we're going to be talking about Christopher Landon's Happy Death Day, a 2017 film that I just saw for the first time, and he just watched for the second time ever.
I watched it in theaters my first time.
And if this is your first time ever seeing this, I am, of course, Coleman. This is my channel, Falling Hurts, and this is my friend Draven. And
I'm a side guest. I go by Bowens over here, so that's me.
Over there. Yeah. That's pretty cool. We're going to jump right into this. We're going to try to keep it around an hour long. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's iffy for us.
It's hit or miss. Yeah. But this is an hour and a half movie. It's a pretty brisk movie.
It's one of the shorter ones we've reviewed other than Ready or Not.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, we kept that video along an hour, so I think we're good. I think we'll reach it.
I think we'll be okay.
All right. So, going into this movie, like I said, you've never watched it. Yeah. Have you seen any trailers on it? Did you know anything about it, or was this a fresh, full, new?
I probably saw like a snippet of a trailer on Twitter when it came out, or around when it came out, but I hadn't seen any spoilers or anything about the movie, nothing like that. So
I was just curious on what perhaps your thoughts would
like
be
my
going
thoughts
into,
were
like
going
what you thought the movie was going to be about, or like if you knew what it was going to be going into it a little bit.
You know, it was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Which isn't a bad thing because it's a really cool premise. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a murder mystery, but the murdered is trying to figure out the mystery. Like the victim is figuring out the mystery in real time, while also in a Groundhog Day time loop, which they make reference to in the movie.
They sure do.
Of course. And it's interesting. I mean, there's like really cool things that like in my head I'm thinking like it'd be really cool if they did this, and if they didn't it'd be an opportunity missed, and then they ended up doing it. Yeah, and like we can get into like specifics of that in a minute, but like I don't know, I really enjoyed the movie. You know, we talked about it being like an hour and a half long, and it feels like it moves at a pretty good pace. I think there's a part at like 2/3 of the way through, I would say roughly 2/3 of the way through, where it does feel like it kind of like feels like it's ending and then doesn't. It doesn't. Mm-hmm. And that's not quite... I mean, there's a fake out at the end, and I'm not even talking about that specifically. That's really good. And the whole movie's really good. But there is a spot where it kind of like slows down to a point where it's like, are we going to figure out something here? And then it waits another like 20 minutes to actually figure out what's going on. Okay. But, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed the movie. We can get into more specifically why, but I'm curious to see what your second viewing was as well.
Okay, so my first viewing of this movie, I actually watched it in theater, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the ones that I went to theater to watch, and I had a blast. Literally came out of that theater, and I was like, what a jam.
Right.
You know, I had really fun with that movie the first time, and going into it, it's been so long since its release date, so, you know, I was foggy on a lot of the things that do happen in the movie.
Yeah.
I remember the outcome, the ending. I remember, you know, bits and pieces. But, you know, to get to the end, the journey to the end, a lot of it was kind of clean slated out of my mind. So going into this, I was hoping that it would be as good and funny, because I remember it being hilarious and, you know, the comedy being really good. And I also remember, you know, it just being an interesting and fun adventure.
Yeah.
Second viewing, didn't disappoint. I actually thought it was just as good the first time that I remember watching it. And I have really I'll get into some of my negatives. I'm sure you will too.
Yes.
But I am very positive of this movie. And I think we should dive into the beginning. All right?
Okay.
We seem to have...
Full spoilers. There won't be a no spoiler section for this movie.
Oh, yeah. No spoilers for, 2017 movie?
Yes.
Yeah. This movie. So we've reviewed a few movies in the past here recently, of course.
At least 10.
Yeah, at least 10. We're on 11 now. But we've been in a lot of movies with college campuses.
I like it.
I think we have a thing for the college setting.
You know the thing about them college girls, I keep getting older, and they stay the same age. I'm sorry, I dropped out of college.
So just like the movie, I'm going to have to rewind that. But, also before we get into the movie, it starts up with Universal, And then it cuts, like the Universal logo comes up with the world, and then it like reverse, and then it does it again.
It would be funny if I looked away actually when we were watching this. I had looked away and I heard something on the screen. I was like, because like da 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 da, and then it went back or whatever and did it again, and I was like, that's odd. What just happened? And of course they were like, you'll get it. And I was like, of course I know it's a time loop movie, so and it's when you die. But I was just like, out of curiosity, did they show like a meteor hit the Earth or something? That would be really funny if they did that.
I'm pretty sure. Actually, to be real honest with you, I was looking away too. I just knew that's what it was doing.
My guy.
Yeah. But like I know that's what it did though. I'm pretty sure it just does the Universal, then it just backs up and then does it again. But I could be wrong.
Cool movie openings.
Nonetheless, it was a fun opening. They didn't have to do that, right? Like it could have just been like Universal, whatever.
Yeah.
But little nod to the movie, like it. Love the little Easter egg there. But as far as our setting here, we're on a college campus again, and our main character here wakes up and she's in this guy's dorm room.
Supposed one night stand after a night of partying, walk of shame out after she does very specific things. Yeah. That one thing I'm gonna say about this movie is it really, especially in the first, I would say third of the movie, it really leans heavily into her reliving the day as she has to do it multiple times before she comes to grips with what's going on, and we kind of experience it solely through her eyes. Of, it shows her, she goes, my head, do you have Tylenol? She sees where the Tylenol is. She understands everything that Carter?
Yeah.
Carter says to her. And then, the guy, did you get that fine vagina, bro? And then...
that guy's so irrelevant.
She goes out, climate change, the guy stares at her, the sprinklers go off, the alarm system in the car goes off, the one
drunk guy, or whatever, tired guy falls over.
Yeah, it seems like they were standing until they couldn't anymore. I don't really understand that.
Yeah, I never actually understood that part, but either way, they were all standing up, and then the one guy's passing out, and then she runs into her one night stand ex or whatever.
No, they just went on a date. They didn't even do a... it was just a date. They just went to Subway.
Yeah, it was just the Subway, yeah. Because she talks about the foot long that he doesn't have.
Yeah, well, it could have been a one-night stand if she knows, I guess.
But then after that, you kind of just... She just relives that whole day as kind of the whole concept, but it leads up to her dying the first time. Because this first time...
And she's a bad person.
Yeah, she's
the first time you watch
absolutely terrible.
Terrible human being, very bad. And that was something I noted was this isn't a very unlikable protagonist, but guess what? Groundhog Day does the same thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie? Out of curiosity, you've never seen it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
I know what it is. Of course.
You understand. Well, this same idea. He's trapped in the town or whatever. I think if he tries to, if I remember correctly, if he tries to, he doesn't always die. Sometimes he does, but he, if he sleeps, he'll wake up in the same day again. Mm-hmm. Or if he tries to leave town, I don't remember if he wakes up somewhere. But either way. Same thing happens there, but he's a douche in the town. He doesn't take anybody for granted. All this and that. He walks all over. Everyone thinks he's high and mighty. And pretty much the same situation here.
Yeah, she's just not a good person.
Right.
It's not I don't know. It's one of those things where just everyone she sees, she's like, F you, whatever, screw you. I know. She's just selfish.
Right.
She's just that type of person. And, she's in that Kappa.
Hell, she's even banging her teacher to coast through a class.
Yeah. And then she's in a Kappa house with all the snooty girls and all that.
And she kind of enables some of the snobbier bitches in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say we get the breakfast scene the first time at the the mandatory meeting.
Now remember folks, no breakfast. Literally, you cannot have breakfast
or chocolate milk.
You will
become chocolate milk.
You will become chunky.
Yeah, chunker.
So, chunker is what she said. No, it's fun though because you get to witness our protag obviously, and as you were saying, she's a terrible character, and you're like, ew, I have to watch this person this whole movie.
Speaking of disgusting character, great character, honestly. By the end, loved it. Tree, going by Tree, by the way.
Yeah. So her name's Teresa.
Yeah, it's Teresa. But
everyone calls her Tree.
Why would you choose to go by Tree? Why?
I don't know. Why not?
I can't imagine a world where that makes sense to me.
A tree has to grow.
And she does grow throughout the plot of this film.
And that's why. Has to grow as a person.
Should we tackle it from there? Why? I made bullet points for this movie, and I had 3 things written down.
Okay.
one thing was the attention to detail with the time loop and how it leans so heavily into sensory. Mm-hmm. And I guess since I've mentioned it, I might as well talk about it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Like, you know, I talked about that very specific sequence that she sees every time she wakes up and leaves and all this and that.
But that's what kickstarts us into the movie.
Right. But you see, like, the same thing every time. You get, like the sprinklers going off, the car alarm going off. Even if she's not in the immediate vicinity, you're hearing it in the background or something.
Yeah.
It is, like, and then eventually she uses it to her advantage. She knows it. She's got it timed out.
She learns it.
And then she can tell, like, hey, that's going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. She looks like a time traveler. Of course, she's not.
Well, that's what I like, too, because, like, you know, later down the line in the movie, Carter starts to be part of her duo team. She starts to trust him more and all that. Right. And what I like is, like, you know, when she tells him the first time and he's like, okay, maybe I'll start to believe you or help you out. When it resets again, obviously he completely forgets that any of that ever happened.
Right.
So, like, when she tries to, like, persuade him again that, you know, this is happening to her again, she's just like, you know.
She just kind of throws it out. Like, your plan's not working very well.
She's just like, oh, the sprinklers are going to turn on here in 3, 2, 1. She's like, 2, 1, car alarm. She's like, oh, you see that one over there? That guy in the hat or whatever, he's going to pat. So, like, you know, he's like, how you doing that?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, too. I was thinking about, like, watching this. It's like, it's fun because you know that they all, like, it's not like they did a scene and did all those scenes and then they just reused it.
This movie was planned.
Like what I was saying is, like,
shot differently.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, they had to act out each of those scenes again because like,
the scene was the same in the background, but she was reacting differently.
And the way she acts to the people again, like, they have to react differently too, because, like, sometimes she'll do something different and they'll react differently.
Like, so like the guy knocking on the door,
or like the, you know, stop global warming or whatever. You know, like, all those people, like, the way she does it the second time or third time or fourth time. She does it differently and reacts differently to where these people react differently, even though it's the same sequence and same day and same time.
Right.
I like how, like, though it's the same scene, it's not really, because they are actually acting it again.
Right.
It's not being, you know, lazy and just reusing assets and stuff. They're still doing it again.
Yeah. No, it was a really cool movie in that essence, and.
Really good attention to detail.
Let me ask you this. There was one scene that threw me for a complete loop.
Okay.
And it's something that never really got explained as to why, but it was thrown out there like it was a really big teaser for something.
I think I know what you're going to say.
What's that?
Are you going to say the shoes?
No.
I thought you were going to go shoes because, like, when we were...
They zoomed in on the...
you zoomed in on the shoes a little bit and you were like, the shoes, that's important.
The killer steps out of the car at one point after he hits the police officer, and it just zooms in on the shoes and, like...
Rip the police officer.
It could have been... it could have been crazy, but it zoomed in on that shoe, and, like, it really should have been like a pair of Yeezys or something. Like, some kind of branding. I mean, Kanye needs it at this point. But no, the scene I'm thinking of is the second time that Carter runs into the girl with the breakfast and spills the chocolate milk. And she confronts him. She's like, you know, she's waiting for him to, or maybe not the second time, whenever it is, that she's waiting for him to give her the necklace.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't.
Yeah, and then she's like, necklace. And then he's like, oh.
That's something that isn't really precedented even in the rules of this, because even if you think about, like, the openings, like the morning scene each time, he always says, you know, good job, dickhead, or whatever. Even when he's talking to himself.
Yeah, that one time he did say.
He says it. I'm not saying they have to say the same thing every time. That's not what I'm saying. But, like, he's got that tendency to do the same thing every time. And in that scene, actually, other than the fact that she walked up to him first, nothing had changed.
Yeah, so you're asking, like, why he didn't do it that
because
time.
Both times, the first time he said, the very first scene that the first time we see the scene, if I could fucking talk, the first time we see the scene, he says, "Here, I was looking for you because I needed to give you your necklace." And then the second time she's expecting it, but he just goes to walk away and not give the necklace, the whole reason he was walking up to her to begin with. I'm confused. I mean, it was a cool moment because it made, you know, everyone, or made him at least, realize that she knew he had the necklace, I guess. But, like, it didn't really, like, I thought it was going to, honestly, I thought he was the killer. I thought he was some magic guy who, you know, hexed her. He hexed her in her sleep and he put her in a time loop and he's just continuously killing her or something. That would have been a cool movie.
All right. Well, let's talk about like characters specifically. So Tree as a character, what are you thinking? Like as a final girl character, do you like the character? Do you think the character is bad?
Well, she can't technically be a final girl. I mean, she has died.
But she technically didn't.
Technically, you're right. I tease, of course.
As a character.
As a character,
okay. So we'll do character. As a character, what do you think of like in the movie? As a character, do you think like her evolving and stuff? Did you like it? But also, as a final girl, would you rank her up in the final girl list? Because every time we watch a movie, and we do a podcast we always get another final girl.
OJ Jr. was a great final girl. Okay, I'll answer you with this.
Okay.
She begins the movie as a terrible character, but she's meant to be. Mm-hmm. It is totally meant to be, and with that, I would like to commemorate the directing and the performances of these not big and small actors in this movie. For a movie with a $4.8 million budget, which isn't really that big if you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, there's like a lot of, I don't know anyone in this movie, for one, like no actors, there's no big names in my opinion.
Okay.
But every character acts pretty well. I didn't really like the professor's accent, but other than that, it's fine.
The professor didn't even matter anyway, let's be real.
He didn't, but
You thought he was the killer though too at one point.
I thought everybody was the killer at one point.
He thought like every person was the killer except the person who was the killer.
Yeah. I felt so bad for her every time. So good subversion. But even down to a character like that we don't see very often, but we see enough, more than Scream.
Screw you.
I think all of the actors are portrayed very well. They all are very clear in their motivations and their morals and different things like that. It works really well. And with that being said, when it comes back to the main character, Tree, I think as soon as she starts losing her mind as like the second and the third day begins, and then she eventually comes to grips with the realizations of how bad of a person she is and starts to self-reflect. And we even get that fully voiced out. So it kind of, there's not much to be, imagined.
Yeah, interpreted.
It's not a...
It's like right in your, through the movie, you get it in your face.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the story. And, coming to grips with her mother's death, it's really interesting kind of how that character evolves, because it's like, on one hand, it's like, you could almost feel like that's a quick turnaround, but then on the other hand, it's like, you get the idea that she was never truly Tree was never a bad person. It's just she kind of like, closed out the world.
Yeah, like after her mom passed. Yes. It's kind of like, and it even kind of tells you that like later in the movie when she talks with her dad again.
Right.
Like it kind of explains as to why she became the way she was, and it was when that happened, when her mom unfortunately passed.
Right.
And like at that point, she was saying how she's sorry that she closed everyone out and closed him out, and like she tried to hide and keep things in and like blame the world and like all these things, and that this is why she was the way she was, but she understands now that that's not the way she needs to be. And that she even says in the movie that like if her mother was still around and saw what she has become, that she wouldn't be proud of her.
Right.
So like it really good turning point for her character, to be honest. And I don't think it was done too quickly. Sometimes character development goes like this. Like 1 minute they're bad, and then they're good. Or they're good, and then they're bad. But I feel like though this is like only an hour and a half movie, and like it does go pretty quickly, the events that she goes through and like the plot that it has with her character, it goes in a very well paced manner, in my opinion.
To your point, I think the fact that it's so it's a time loop movie.
Yeah.
So we can assume. And the movie, like I can even point out examples of this. We can, like, the movie relies on us as the viewer to assume certain scenes happen, even if it doesn't show it. Like, we only see her go to class the first time, and then the last time when she calls the professor.
Yeah, professor up. So yeah, we're just
But it's to be assumed she goes to that class every time.
Yeah.
or maybe she doesn't. Hell, I don't know. She's banging the teacher. She doesn't have to. But the first couple days she tries to relive the exact same events, trying to find a difference. And yeah, I mean, like, I think that works really well with the pacing too, because your mind is filling out all of these days, even if it's only showing you it shows you the full first day and then brief segments of other days leading up to her death. So, I feel like it did get derailed at some point, but to go back to her as a final girl.
Okay, final girl character. Let's see it.
Yes.
Yes. Good final girl?
Smash.
Same.
But no, really, I think there's the good comedy, which I don't know that any other final girl has, in my humble opinion.
As far,
Sydney Campbell has one-liners.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of the final girls usually have, one-liners.
But this girl has...
But, yeah,
Tree has charisma.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
She's funny. And, she, goofy shit, walking around campus fucking naked.
Yeah, straight up, she's just it's going to repeat, so it just walks around. She's just
Or at the end, even, I likened it to, the good ending run. When she does all the right things, she signs the
global warming thing,
and then she takes the pillow for the guy,
which is funny. Well, I'll talk about it later with the pillow, what you thought was going to happen with it when we get to the person that was related to what you thought was going to happen with it, because we haven't got to that character yet.
Right.
Well, I'll talk about that later. But it is interesting just to see. I mean, heck, even when she goes up to her one night stand kind of dude, and he's like, "Yo," the text, and she runs into him on that day. She's like, "Yo, love is love. Go get yourself
a nice piece of man ass."
It's so good.
Yeah.
She's just wearing shades.
I know, consult my... Oh, yeah. We've talked about my 3 things. I had, and I quote, would you like to hear?
Okay,
I had great use of sensory for time loop, which we talked about, the audio, the visuals each time showing the same shots.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got great characters and sense of personality for each of them, big and small, which... I feel like I hit on that pretty well.
Heck, even the Kappa girl characters, they all kind of have their own personalities.
Yeah, even
though they're all kind of biz and they're douchey, they all have their own personal
even the girl that sits out front of the sorority that doesn't talk.
Rip her, dude.
Who gets stuff thrown out at her every time.
She just looks so nice. She's just jamming. She's like, "Hey," and then the person's just Tree's always "Screw you, dude."
Yeah, and the last thing I had written in quotes was Tree.
Tree.
So those were the 3 things that I wanted to make sure that I hit on for this movie.
Well, we hit Tree already.
Yes. So do you have any other outlying thoughts? There's a few other things that I know I want to get into.
There's a few things I want to get into too, but as far as outlining as a whole for the movie, I just wanted to, we already talked about the characters and stuff, and I think all the characters are used very well here. Like I said, there's a lot of small characters that we didn't talk about, I don't even remember her name, but the main Kappa girl, the one that's the one who does the meeting, leads the meeting.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh.
I don't remember her name.
You asked me too quick. I know, I'm picturing her. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That girl, she was the girl who just wants to sleep with everyone and is just yo, don't be fat. And we're Kappa girl.
Yeah.
She goes, "Why? That's so stupid. Poison a cupcake?" We're Kappa girls. We don't eat cupcakes.
Yeah. So, okay. With that being said, before we get into our major critiques or anything like that, let's get into the second half of the film, which I feel like we have kind of avoided a bit.
Okay, so we talked about the first half of the film with the way the day works out, which we didn't really talk about how she dies, but the first time she dies, she goes into this alleyway or this underpass kind of thing, and it has happy birthday thing playing.
Right.
And then shout out to the baby face that they use for the killer, by the way.
One of my biggest criticisms of this movie, I don't like it.
Really? I thought it was awesome.
No.
It's so weird.
I don't like it, not because it's unsettling, not because it's weird. Well, it is weird, but it just doesn't look appealing, and I just don't like it, personally. It doesn't have anywhere near the pizzazz of a ghost face mask.
Oh, no. Like, no,
Halloween,
Michael Myers.
No.
Yeah, I agree there. But, I mean, I think it was unique. And, I mean, it being strange and kind of gross was kind of its appeal. That was kind of what it was trying to go for.
Well, the best thing I will say is that it felt like the decision to get something weird like the baby face it felt like it knew it couldn't live up to those things, so it didn't try to
be iconic,
but rather be something goofier. Yeah. And in that sense, it could be scary that it's something so happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like trying to be a creepy mask is kind of like, okay, we have a lot of those, but like doing this weird mask kind of makes it stand out a little bit more.
Let me pose this idea. If it were a creepier movie, like if it were an actually... I don't think this movie's tense at all.
Not really.
No. It's not I don't know if this movie's classified as like a thriller or anything. It's more of like a mystery... maybe kind of thriller comedy.
Yeah, thriller comedy.
Yeah, maybe thriller, but like very light on the thriller, mostly mystery comedy. Not even comedy. Honestly, it's not even like a cracking joke. It's mostly just a mystery movie. Mm-hmm. But just with horror elements and that good. I think horror nowadays has to have comedy in it. How do you feel about that? Just general.
I don't know when the last time I saw a horror movie that didn't have comedy on it.
Curious about Evil Dead Rise, because that's a series known for horror comedy, and this movie looks like it's straight up fucking creepy.
Yeah, this one. Well, here's the thing: there's not going to be any
Bruce Campbell,
but he worked on the movie, so I mean,
right.
But enough.
I want to see it.
I do too.
I do.
But enough of Evil Dead, though.
Made me rise. Heyo.
The end half here, though, yeah, what we were talking. Well, we talked about the killer for a second there. Yeah, I actually think the design is fine. I think it's fun. I think it's different. They didn't go for a super creepy, scary mask. They kind of just went with a goofy baby mask, which I find funny. It's because it's the mascot of the school.
Yeah,
I did like how it tied in with it was the mascot of the university, but this every day, obviously, it repeats. She dies from the same killer. This person who's killing her is the same killer, but they do it in different ways. Like the first one was, I don't even remember all of them, but like,
What, like the way she's killed?
Yeah.
Well, she's been sliced in the throat. Yeah. She's been stabbed through here. She's been stabbed in the stomach. She's been drowned. Blown up.
Hit by a car.
Yeah, she got hit by...
No, that was the officer. She got the gas, the fire.
Well, no, she got hit by a bus while she was
fighting
wrestling with the...
Yep. Main Kappa girl. We still don't remember her name.
Yeah, I can't think of the sorority leader.
Yeah, she died a lot of different ways, and I like how... So the later half of the movie, I like how it ties back in, because the doctor teacher that she's kind of sleeping with, or she was, is, an actual doctor, obviously. And when he's checking up on her, he does like the x-rays and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you see like all the wounds that she's gotten from the past like deaths, and he's like, you should be dead.
I really enjoy like the rules of the universe they've created with this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, like the more you die, the more it feeds into who you are. And I would love to see that as something... I'm curious to see... We'll probably do the sequel next.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it's expanded, if it is in any ways with that. But that is something that I would like to see. It's part of my criticism with this movie is it's not expanded enough. But I think the teases that they make, like, the scar tissue and stuff on the inside, like, you should be dead. Really fucking cool.
Yeah.
But.
And also, like, a character we didn't talk about yet, which I wanted to reference earlier, but now that we're getting into the character, it's funny because there is a, like, serial killer in jail or something, and he breaks out. Or something like that.
Yeah, the first time we actually see him is on the television screen when she barricades herself in on the third day.
Yeah, it was in a room.
Yeah, and... Yeah, when she barricades herself in, and little does she know...
Flickering on.
Yeah. Little does she know that her roommate's already in there with her.
Now, you didn't know?
You didn't know.
You didn't know.
Something to think about, huh?
Nah,
yeah.
like I said, it shows up there, and then also later down the line when Carter and her at like the restaurant.
Yes.
Then the TV comes on, and then it talks about him again, but goes into more detail about him killing females only, like only killing girls, and he has like 6 of them or something.
And I never double checked it, but did it show her mom there?
I don't,
because we saw brief images of her mom up until that point, and it would be really interesting if that's why she really so vehemently reacted to this guy as soon as she saw his face. But maybe, it would have to be. I mean, I think the thing that got our attention was,
the girls being killed.
In
the area, basically.
Right? And they were all blondes.
Yeah,
but the mom was blonde. That's what got me thinking. I didn't know, but it would be really cool if that did tie in that maybe this guy had killed her mother, and that would be more of a character arc, coming to grips thing for her as well.
Nonetheless, though, this character, he's in the hospital, and there's one cop just sitting on the outside. Dude. And we revisit this scene like twice, 2 or 3. I think it's 2 times. But the first time she dies from. No. The first time. Okay, the first time. Yeah. So I remember because the cop ends up going in there. He's dead. The cop's deceased. Absolutely dead. Blood everywhere. And I remember her and him like tussle for a while. Like this, we assume is the killer because this is like towards the end of the movie. Yeah, so like you're thinking that like this guy's the killer. This is it. This is the end of the movie. Right. That's it. And then because he is seen wearing the mask.
Right. Yeah. So we know that he can do that.
Yeah. So you just imagine because like there's not much movie left, and he wore the mask and his outfit fits. You put the pieces together, it makes sense. That's the movie, and they tussle for a while. And the thing that I really like is that Carter, which we didn't really mention, but. Tree ends up kind of really warming up to his character.
You briefly mentioned that she kind of lets him in on everything, and he does.
Well, the thing is, too, is like Tree for the longest time before like day 3 or 4 thinks that Carter just did a one-night stand with her and slept with her when she was drunk. But he was like, "No, I didn't do that."
Right.
And he's like, "Oh God, no!" He's like, "I just didn't want you to like choke
on your vomit."
Or, So like he's just a nice dude. And, that's kind of where the turning point where she was like, oh, so you're not a trash guy. And then that's when she kind of starts being friends with him.
Right.
But up to this point, I think this is where it really, really seals the deal because she's getting ready to die from supposedly the killer. And, I mean, he is a killer, but supposedly the baby doll killer of her, but it's not. But the killer in the hospital is getting ready to kill her. And then Carter comes running in and tackling him and stuff.
Yeah.
And I love this scene because Carter dies. The man just snaps his neck.
Yeah.
And then, she
unceremoniously at that. He just...
Yeah, just... And she gets away. And she like knocks him down with like whatever.
Crowbar.
Yeah.
She could have finished him. And she was going to.
And then she remembered that Carter's dead.
Then she played The Last of Us Part 2 and thought that revenge is a vicious cycle.
I love, though, that she didn't even let him kill her. She just went up top to like the bell tower and just jumped off.
Didn't give him the
satisfaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. And then, of course, at the end here, this is where you thought the movie was officially over because this is where she does all her things, like
all the good things.
Yeah, all the good things.
Yeah, we get up to this point, and she does everything right, and all of this, and I realized that she's going back. She's going to save her friend Carter this time around. She doesn't even involve him this time, right?
No.
Yeah.
She just like says, "Hey, I'll see you tonight." Let's do a date. Yeah.
And then, of course, she goes through the events. She saves the cop's life in this instance. Even he doesn't even have to get killed this time around.
Yeah.
And
everything's done so perfectly. Like you think that like no other lives are cost. Like everything led up to this point is good.
I will say it's a really interesting subversion that obviously this isn't the real ending, but the scene where she times it to where where the lights go out.
I love that scene.
I like that, but she says like I don't know what she says, but she says like some kind of one-liner. Oh, like
it was the
safety's
safety.
Off.
Yeah, because the first time, she had the safety on, but then
didn't work for me.
That's fine.
I did not like that. I was like, this is so stupid. I was like,
the one-liner.
I was like, did they really stumble the very ending? And then they didn't.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
They didn't. It was like it really made me feel like, it made me feel uncomfortable. It's like, are you serious? And
because he thought that was the end.
I did. I honestly did, because then I fully expected the next wake up to be the fake out.
Yeah, because you already went into the movie thinking that there was going to be a fake out at the end.
That was one of the things I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, was that, like, there were things that I was hoping would happen, because, like, if I were making the movie, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
And one would be the final time that she wakes up, or whatever she does, it's a fake out. Like, it's not actually a repeat, but, like, she thinks it is. And she's like, oh, no. But that's, so I've lost my circles.
I gotta say, like, I know that, like, you said you didn't like the one-liner and stuff, but I did like how she had it already on her watch, because the power goes out every single day in her loop.
Right.
Because college campus using their funds for good. And I just like how she had it on there, and that was used into the play of her final battle. I like that, but I can see where it's lost in translation there, especially with the one-liner. But
no, it's not even the darkness part that bothers me. That was fine. Like, that was cool. Mm-hmm. It was honestly just it just felt so cheesy. Yeah. Like, compared to the rest of the movie, which, it was cheesy, whatever. But that I was like, no, stop it.
That's the thing, though. That the way that night ends before we go back to another loop is her and Carter are kind of chilling, thanking each other, and, cupcake.
But the thing that gets me is he goes, so did they ever figure out how he got out of or how he escaped, like, initially? Because, out of his restraints. And he goes, did he pull a Houdini? And then that gets you thinking, like, oh, how did he get out?
Yeah, you're right.
So, and with that, one thing I want to talk about before we get into the final day, which I think we'll talk about pretty much in full because it's the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
I think they set up so much of this movie so well, and it doesn't even make sense until it's happening, till it's literally just happening. Mm-hmm. Like, the cupcake every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she never eats it.
She never eats it.
Never. Literally never.
She hardly even blows out the candle the one time or whatever. You've got the time where
it's also important to note, because I don't think we even talked about her, but Tree I don't even remember her name now, but Tree does have, a roommate.
Yeah, of course she's,
and this roommate made her like a cupcake, as we've stated, like, for her birthday, and every time it loops, she gives it to her and stuff. Right. And like we said, Tree never eats it. So, but it's just important to note, because that's the big factor here. Is like, this character is always there, and she seems really nice.
Yeah, so
she's a nurse,
and she is one of the nicer characters. She's
her doctor. I think it's a nurse.
I think she's a nurse. She's helping out, not finished her degree, so I would assume nurse. So she has the cupcake.
Yeah.
She even, the time that we do see Tree go to the hospital, she does stop her, and she's like, hey, these kind of things have consequences. Mm-hmm. And we don't get the full extent of that at the time, naturally, but we realize that she's going to meet with the professor to hook up with him for the grade.
For real, which is literally one of the motives.
Huh?
Which is one of the motives. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's right there. And that sets that up, and then you've got, I mean, there's just stuff like that all throughout the movie. This is more specifically right now I'm talking about the final scene and how well that's set up, but, like, really, I think this movie does so well at wrapping everything up, except for, I don't understand the time loop.
Yeah.
Why?
But like I said, I've watched the second one, and if I remember correctly, it really does focus on the time loop and expands on what's going on with that.
That's fair.
So with the first one, that's kind of where, which I agree, the first one does leave that, like, okay, what was going on there?
Right. I'm curious to see the sequel.
Because even the killer doesn't even know about that.
Right.
So, like,
yes, so
has no idea what's going on there.
Yes. So with that being said, they eat their cupcake.
Yep.
At the end of the day, they share that because they're spending the night in the room together.
And then it goes like all black, like you just imagine that the night's over and they're going to wake up for the next day. And you're like, all right. You were like, let's see this fake out, but then it's not.
Is that the transition that we talked about where her head goes down and then she wakes up again?
No, that was
an earlier.
That was an earlier one because this one it just goes black and then it just has her wake up again and then.
Gotcha.
Because she gets poisoned. That one. The other one was when she I think it was like when she explodes maybe, and she's like going that way, and then like it transitions into her bed.
Oh, it might be.
It might have been the car explosion. Yeah, there is one really. There's a lot of cool transitions though back to her bed. Because like every time she dies, like it always transitions back to the bed somehow.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah,
it's always really cool. Which, speaking of which, what did you feel about the death / gore? Did you think it was good enough, appropriate, not good enough?
It was appropriate for the tone of the film.
Yes, I agree. Because it didn't go all out like bloody gory, but like it wasn't like cut either. It was like perfect. It's perfectly balanced.
Some of them were, but it worked in the sense that there were times where the movie was moving at a fast pace. And it just felt like another scene that was part of a compilation. Like, like when you're seeing like 3 scenes in a row where she's getting killed, it's so funny. Like that lends into the, I don't want to say physical comedy, but it's physical, like timing comedy.
Like I said, the perfect scene, like what you were like the compilations of her dying. Yeah. Like that's I love that because like it's when she actually just says, "Screw it, I'm gonna figure out who this killer is," and she has like a list.
Yeah.
And like each person she ends up going to investigate or like spying on them or trying to confront them.
Yeah.
But then the real killer always ends up coming in and then kills them.
Which she can. That's the one way to count them out, I guess.
Yeah, because she just marks them out like, okay, not you because you were there with me.
One character that I never really thought made 2 issues with that list. First off, did she just correctly draw on that list the same exact way each time? But why would you write a name if you didn't suspect them anymore?
I mean, I just assumed that they wrote.
I mean, but then she marked them out the exact same way. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just a little thing. Whatever. But then
nitpicking.
It is, but it's like
Coleman's finest trait: nitpicking movies.
What? No,
he's gonna rate it a 1 out of 10 because of that slight nitpick right there.
2.6, slightly better than.
He also like the one time where like Carter dies and it does like that flashback of Carter dying. You were like, I didn't need that. So now,
I did not need that.
Now he's gonna rate it a literal like 0.5 for it.
No, that was terrible. But it was like 3 seconds, so I don't really care. But it didn't really. There's no point for that.
I mean, I agree. It wasn't needed.
My life like that.
It wasn't needed because it literally happened like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it wasn't very long ago. If it happened at the beginning of the movie, that'd be different.
But I mean, like, it didn't hurt it either. So it's whatever.
I guess.
It's fine. You nitpicker. Continue. Continue.
I can't remember. Was there a flashback for when we find out that who the killer is? And like when they pass in the hospital hallway, like there's consequences. Do we ever find out?
I don't think we had a flashback for that.
There should have been one for that.
I knew that was coming. I literally knew it was coming.
Okay, podcast is
over. He's a clown. Honk honk.
Okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, she awakens the final day. She's unsure why she failed because she thought she killed the killer. That didn't work. And then...
As you do.
Right. She goes back to her room. She's freaking out because she doesn't know what to do. And then she basically is like... Yeah. No, she goes back to her room, right?
She goes up to her dorm.
Yeah,
she just straight up... She like skips everything. She just stormed right to her dorm.
And she's just like, all right, I'm chilling.
She was trying to like get all her stuff because she wants to leave.
She's leaving. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And then that's when like our roommate here like tries to give her the cupcake before she leaves, so like she'll die from poison.
Right. Like here, yeah, you forgot to eat your cupcake, and like I felt so bad for this girl because it's like every day she tries to give this girl her cupcake.
I love this part because this is the turning point where like you find out that she's the killer, and at the point when she's like, "Oh, well, I made you a cupcake," when she's trying to like pack and leave,
she's just like, "I died in my sleep."
Coleman was just like, "Aw," it was so funny because I'm just sitting there like, "Oh, this man doesn't even know."
I didn't.
So good.
Well, okay. In my defense, I did think it was like Groundhog's Day, where it was like if she went to sleep, she woke up in the day anyway.
Yeah, like even it doesn't matter even if she died or lived.
Yeah, I didn't think she had died. In my defense, I thought it was like a fade out. I mean, it didn't show him go to bed. Mm-hmm. It was like a fade out, which now we know they were just fucking dying. But
yeah, I know what you mean. That's what I thought the first time I watched it. Is I just thought that like it just reset anyways, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but so how do you feel about this twist?
Oh, I loved it.
You like it?
I mean, I'm the same way as you. Where if they would have made it to where like the guy who was killing girls on campus or whatever he was doing, like that crazy dude who was just killing to kill.
Yeah.
If he was the actual killer and that was the end of the movie, would have been a whole different vibe.
Right.
I definitely would have been like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
Yeah,
I was worried this whole time because I was like, well, not the whole time because I kind of thought everybody was a killer.
But once it started like bringing up the news thing and like actually implemented the character, like it didn't even implement this character until like 70% into the story.
Yeah,
so,
a
like,
good 2/3 of the way in.
So that's when you're like, okay. So like you were thinking that was who the killer was, and I agree. If it would have ended with that, yeesh.
It would have been a rough movie.
But that's not how it worked. And I love how they played it up for it to be like that, but then twist it on its head.
Yeah.
And that's where the charm comes from, is that like it's always twisting these things, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a real fun movie.
Oh, I love it. So I have a lot of positives that I could say. In my head, I've got them in like bullet point form, and same for my few negatives.
Okay.
But I think the best way we can do it, we're 45 minutes. By the time we both do our final verdicts, and then we do our little closing conversation,
okay,
I think we'll be about there. Did you have anything else you want to say before that?
I think we kind of summed up basically like the plot of the movie,
the plot, and then our
our overall general thoughts.
Yeah.
I think final verdicts are very well due. But
okay.
Since you've never watched this movie, so you want to go first?
Okay, yeah, I can go
Since
first.
you've never watched the movie and I already have, so let's hear yours.
So, all right. Yes, sorry, I just wasn't ready. Okay, now I'm ready. I don't know. I mean, I don't.
We're amateurs.
I mean, we got a little bit of a better setup now. I mean, come on.
Our setup is looking pretty nice compared to what it was.
It's looking real nice down there. But okay, so
watch it come out butchered.
That would be so sad. I'd just say video got lost, guys. Sorry.
Re-record it.
We have to listen and try to like lip sync it.
Yeah, lip sync, replicate it.
That would be saddening. But no. So this movie.
That means we would just relive the podcast again. It fits in theme with the movie.
Oh yeah, man. So this movie is a really fun ride the whole way through. It's an hour and a half long, which to me, that's a plus. I like
shorter movies always seem to be the better movies anyway.
Because there's no fluff. There's nothing that I can say like that didn't need to be there.
Yeah. It's usually right to the point.
Yeah.
Fast paced. That's the way I like my stuff, fast paced and like right to the point, and I'm cool with fluff if it works.
Some women prefer it. Fast paced, that's right to the point. I mean, it's not a problem, guys.
I'm just gonna pretend that never was said.
I'm sorry about that. But yes, I also prefer that. Unless it's Aliens. That's a good one. It's a good 2-hour flick.
Oh my god. I like 2-hour movies too. I mean, heck, like I said, favorite franchise is Scream over here. All of them are like 2 hours.
That's long. Like a famously 2-hour.
Yeah. But I also really, really like short movies. And like, that's the way I am with everything though. Like, I really like short and straight to the point. Unless it's video games. I like longer games. But when it comes to like TV shows, cartoons, anime, I prefer the few seasons or hour and a half long ones, because usually those ones end up being better.
They have something to say, not long staying power. I understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so anyway, this movie doesn't overstay its welcome. It feels pretty, brisk as far as pacing goes. There's one point kind of later on, especially about 2/3 through, when you're like kind of getting introduced to the idea that there could be a literal serial killer involved that isn't a character of all of the well-acted and developed characters we've been introduced to daily. Mm-hmm. It isn't one that you feel like it should be, and obviously to misdirect, but upon first watching, it definitely feels bizarre, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the other scene that really took me out of the pacing was, while great and a perfect character moment, the scene with the dad.
Yeah, that wasn't.
It just was like, building. Okay, I'm going to go over here and take a bathroom break. Not me watching the movie, of course, but it's like, we'll go over here, we'll do this little side quest, get some XP, come back and do the final boss. And that's what it felt like. So, yeah. I mean, it was cool.
On the bright side, at least it wasn't like a long scene. It was...
No, it was...
Yeah. I know it kind of sided the... Yeah.
It wasn't very long. It just was tonally a little different, but it was closing up part of her character arc.
Yeah.
And with that being said, the characters in this movie, from the smallest, most minuscule, non-speaking Asian characters out front of the sorority, all the way up to our main character named Tree, they're all amazing.
Yep.
Sorry, I had to swallow myself there. And Was that not the way I say that?
Yeah. You're whack.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. And just everyone in this movie is so well acted. I thought every character had cool secrets, motivations, whether it be that, Carter is, I don't want to say a secret nice guy, but the more you learn about him, the more layers of like, oh, he's just he's the golden retriever boyfriend, right?
Speaking of which.
What's that?
It's cutting in your little final verdict here, but it's fine. I'm more important. It's fine. Okay. Something we never talked about.
Delete my channel.
Something. Yeah, we'll just upload this to mine. 13 subs. Let's go. Something that we didn't talk about. We talked about the characters, but we never really talked about the relationship between the two. Did you think it fit well, or did you
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I loved it.
It worked.
I thought they were actually... I don't really care about relationships most of the time, but they were adorbs.
Well, my thing is, I love the movie's ability to completely sideline it. There's days where she'll just go and be like, okay, I don't need to talk to you. But it's in the effort of, saving him most of the time.
It is funny, though, because, some of the nights and days, they're, building up this relationship. But then, like you said, the next day she'll die and wake up and be like, all right, I just need to go. Peace.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But I thought it was really well done because, like you said, it wasn't sidelining the main plot or sidelining any of the main points.
Right.
It was just kind of a side factor on its own, but it worked out, and the pacing of it worked out very well to where, they hate each other, and then, she hates him for not having him hate her, and then just kind of...
Because of the situation she thinks it is.
And it kind of gradually goes up, and then it works.
Yeah.
I liked it. I just wanted to ask and bring that up to the table because that is something that was important to the series, the movie. And we didn't really talk about it.
So yeah,
figured we would.
I agree. I think a lot of, especially from the perspective of Teresa Tree, as her character changes, we get to see her relationship with different characters change.
Yeah.
And is that a helicopter?
We're having a warfare outside. Did the apocalypse happen? Got loud vehicles going by.
What is going on?
We got a helicopter now.
What the fuck? But no, I think characters are done really well. I think pacing works mostly well, especially with the fast timing. And then finally, I think the movie is shot really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's mirror scenes that are meant to act as fake outs, but unfortunately, I don't think it's always used to its most potential. But there's definitely some badass shots in this movie. When he's stepping out, he blows up that little car. No big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Cool stuff like that. And finally, I think that the actual twists and the plot devices done throughout the movie are done really well. My only issue is the inability of the movie to actually explain its main narrative thread, and that's the time loops.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, as you say, that it's explained in the sequel, but it's not done in this movie. And I'm rating this as a standalone film,
yes,
as it was released in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty lackluster in my opinion. So outside of weird pacing issues and some plot holes, I really like this movie. I'm probably going to go a 7 out of 10.
I don't know.
I think I'm pretty... from what I can tell, that's pretty good consensus.
Yeah.
And 7 out of 10. What do you think?
I'm kind of in the same boat with a lot of the positives you said. I think this movie is very funny, very hilarious, a lot of good scenes. The characters are very well done, very well written, and our main character, Tree here, I feel like I say this every time we watch a movie with a good protagonist, but it just feels like some of the lines that she was able to do is just her own doing. It just always seems like when our characters are written so well that they just kind of let them do their own vibe.
As someone as a screenwriter, there's no way you can properly always write she raises her eyebrow leaving the room and says toodles or whatever.
That's what the actor's there for, to bring the script to life.
Yeah, and absolutely.
I feel like all these people, every time we watch a movie, Ready or Not with Samara Weaving's character, or here, it feels like the actors just bring their characters so much to life,
right?
And they're always so fun to watch on screen. And even though Tree was a garbage character at first, even when she was trash, she was still fun to watch,
right?
But then when she becomes a good character, you're rooting for her. So it's all around. All the characters were really well done, and love the relationship between Carter and Tree. Really well done. And like I said, I'm not really one to care for relationships too much. Usually I'm I don't really care. I was all for it. I was shipping them, bro. Yeah,
I understand.
I was shipping.
You're either shipping or you're skipping.
But
you didn't like that.
Inconveniencing my final synopsis here. Anywho, yeah, as I said, I've seen this movie twice now, and the first time I really loved it. Coming into this, I was hoping to enjoy it as much as I did the first time.
Yeah.
And I did. Loved it a lot. It met my expectations. I know there is a sequel, but again, we're only talking about this one.
Yeah.
And my one negative would be the same thing as you is, we aren't touching on the time loop thing, which was a big part of the movie.
Yeah.
And, it kind of was the whole reason that, the movie was even a thing other than the killer. But I feel like it being kind of just mysterious isn't that much of a drag as you think it would be. I feel like...
I will say I agree. Like, I still rated it a 7 out of 10. Like,
I'm not hating you. I'm just saying my...
I for what it's worth being my only true negative, like, big one, I wholeheartedly agree that, like, it's definitely, like, interesting that you just don't know, and I respect it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I kind of wish. But
for sure. I definitely understand that, and that's why I'm going to put it as a negative as well, because I feel like we should have addressed it a little bit. If not entirely explaining what's going on, at least kind of like maybe nod towards what's going on, or at least give us a little bit of something.
Right.
But we don't get anything here, and I'll put that in the negative as well, but I don't think it's that big of a deal because the plot was so well done, and it's keeping you guessing the entire time of what's going on here, who's the killer.
That's true.
And love the mascot, love the mask. I know you didn't really care for it too much.
I did not.
I thought it was unique and different. He didn't try to be an iconic mask like from Ghostface to Michael to Jason. They didn't try that. They did their own thing. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And it comes back for the sequel, so if we watch the sequel, you better be ready because it's coming back, baby. But yeah, I think all the scenes in the campus were very well done. I don't really have too many negatives other than the same things you really had.
That's fair.
And all in all, I'm probably going to give it an 8.
8. I can respect it.
Yeah, I'm going to say I wasn't going to go super high, but
it's a good watch.
As for me, yeah, I think 8 because I love it. Watch. It's really fun watch.
That's fair. It's a good watch.
If you never watched it and you're still here, go watch it, even though we kind of told you the whole thing.
Yeah, honestly, we didn't spoil hardly any of the minute-to-minute stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's for this movie, that's the most of it. And so, yeah, we only have one final thing. I don't know if we can kind of call it a final girl ranking a little bit. Not really, because it's not really a slasher in the sense that they're not trying to kill anyone else, but like kind of. We're gonna do it just because it's a thriller female protagonist.
Okay.
So
I would count her as a final girl anyway.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Where will we put her?
What is our list looking like right now? Like, so who's the characters we're using for this list? Because
should we limit it to the movies that we've covered? I think we should. I think that's going to make it a lot easier.
Yeah, we can just do that every time
it's more fresh in our minds. Regardless,
every time we do a movie that has a new final girl, we'll just add it to the list and we'll kind of rank them. And if we want to, we can switch.
That's cool. I don't care. I'll get a whiteboard and we'll start putting it in the fucking back.
Yeah, we should. Just
that'd be cool.
That'd be awesome.
The female protagonist rank list. So we have. Okay, for Scream, are we gonna do just Sydney or are we gonna do Sydney and Samantha?
We can do Sydney and Samantha if we want.
Those are the clear two mains, though, right?
Yeah, we can do 2.
So we'll do Sydney, Samantha.
Some people would argue Gail, but I'm just gonna count Sydney and. He said,
"No, sorry,
Gail."
We got Sydney, Samantha from Scream.
Okay.
We've got Tree from Happy Death Day. Samara Weaving's character from Ready or Not, whose name
it's Grace.
Grace. We forgot that entire podcast.
Yeah, entire podcast. We
so bad about it.
And then literally just now you said that, and I'm like, it's Grace.
It's Grace. There you go.
Just out of nowhere, Grace.
And then what other?
It'll be next podcast, and I'll remember the main sorority girl from this movie.
Yeah.
I'll remember it.
Julie from the last movie we just did with the fish hook. I know what you did last summer.
Ugh.
Yeah. In Scary Movie, the first one, they refer to her as Jennifer Love Huge Tits because it was Jennifer Love Hewitt, by the way. Just a little fun fact for you.
Because you watched that yesterday.
I did, yeah. It's actually a really good spoof. Not a very good movie, but a good spoof.
It's funny, but a lot of I feel like Scary Movie annoys me more than it makes me laugh.
I agree.
I think it's kind of annoying. It's not one for me.
I shouldn't have said that out loud. Why would I say that out loud? I have to edit that out. I straight up just have to edit that.
Okay, anyway.
God damn it.
Are you for real?
I have to. I mean, I said his full name. I said his full legal name.
All right, let's cut back to the list.
Yes.
So list,
yeah. So I would say those are our 4 mains, probably.
So Sydney, Samantha, Tree, Grace, and didn't you say Julie?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna count the Nope girl.
No, we're not.
Nope, we aren't counting.
Well, I mean, yeah, we'll count her. She's a female protagonist that made it to the end.
Oh, she's that bottom tier.
You thought she's bottom?
Yes.
I agree. She annoyed me.
Literally terrible.
Okay.
I hate that movie. Sorry, no fans.
So Emerald at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even remember her name. That's
okay. Then we've got Julie.
I like how we both just casually were like, yeah, those 2 are bottom.
Yeah, because right, she's. You know what? No. I'm sorry. I didn't even like Nope. But we gotta put Emerald. If I can do a veto, we have to put Emerald above Julie. Only because.
Well, here's the thing.
Julie, all she did in the final act was scream. The whole time.
So okay. Yes. Here's the thing, though. I'm cool with that because I didn't care about her character, and I know what you did last summer anyway. Because Helen fan over here. Yikes. So if it was Helen, I'd be fighting you on those words. But since it's not, I don't care.
Okay. So Julie, Emerald.
Okay.
Next up.
So.
Ooh. I'm going to say Samantha.
Samantha?
From Scream. Interesting character, but I think the others are better. I mean, you got to think we've got 3 great ones above that.
I know. But Samantha's a good killer, though. She goes ham when she wants to.
I know, but I don't think we've seen that to the full potential yet.
I mean, to be fair, we've only seen her do it to, 2 characters. I mean, she shot someone in the head, too. But, with stabbing, she goes ham when she goes ham.
Yeah, she does.
But at the same time...
But I think the others all have more
experience.
Charisma. No, just charisma in general. They're more fun to watch at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, I mean, we can... I'm thinking survivability as well, but also...
Likability.
Yeah, I think
it's hard for me because I love all 4 of these next ones. I like Sydney. I love Sydney. I love Samantha. I love Grace. And I love Tree. I love all 4 of them. So for me, this is hard. But I will be willing to allow Samantha to be next. I'll allow it because I like the other characters a lot too. So,
who do you think goes number 3? I have my 3 in my head.
Number 3. Well, you know me. I'm a Sydney fanboy, so Sydney's kind of my number 1.
Yeah.
But that's kind of hard.
Oh.
Grace and Tree are both so good, and I love both their actors.
I have a clear... I think this is where Tree goes. I think Grace just tops.
Grace as a character is legendary. Samara Weaving did so good with Grace.
She did it with One Life, too.
Yeah, with One Life.
Yeah, I think.
And also, Grace did it without trying to kill anyone for the whole movie. So,
she managed it.
Yeah. I think I'll do that, too. I think I'll go Tree, because Tree had to die multiple times to get to where she was.
Yep.
And then Grace, and then my girl Sydney. I think that's what we're going to go with.
You think? Okay, I will allow it.
You can go with
No, I will allow it because she's got the staying power.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm in kickball and I've got Grace and I've got Sydney as team captains, I want Grace to pick me. Okay? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But I'm fine with Sydney being number 1 because Sydney's a fucking scream queen to the max. This has been Pop Corner episode 11.
They're all queens.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Do you have anything else to end on?
Watch Happy Death Day. Really fun movie.
Watch Happy Death Day to You by next week, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about Happy Death Day to You next week, and our quality is probably a lot better. At least it looks like on this end for video. And
hell to the yeah. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Peace.